Hello everyone, my name is Mitchell from Matchbox Games, and recently I rediscovered the game Spore. I used to play this game a lot from about 2009 up to 2014, and now I have kids of my own, and I've started sharing the game with them as well. I feel like during that time I made a lot of really interesting creatures and really developed my own style. Decided to start a YouTube channel about it. Nothing scripted, just us having a little bit of fun. So today I wanted to share some of my older creations with you, give you an idea of what my style is like, and if you enjoy it, I hope you follow the channel, and I'll be sharing a lot of the tips that I have learned over the years here. So here is a lot of my older ones. If you still go on the Sporepedia, you can search Mitz, M-I-T-Z-E, and a lot of these creatures are still on there if you want to incorporate them into your game. The one that people have the most draw to, at least whenever I've shared it on Steam, seems to be more of my creepy creatures. So I'm going to start with some of those. This is the Arxis. I really liked trying to experiment with different body shapes. So this one just has kind of a scorpion-based body, but I really like kind of the bug features. This one seems to get a lot of comments as well. You can tell I really seem to use the black and red with my creepy creatures a lot. Really interesting use of the various parts. 3 eyes here. This one's based more on our dinosaurs, but again with kind of that that creepy appearance, spikes everywhere, black and red. The Domingo, one of my favorite ones from around the 2014. My wife really loves lawn flamingos, so we kind of took that idea and ran with it and made it a little bit more creepy. This one based more on like the spider or a black widow. Of course, she has a spider. So this one is slightly more alien. Pretty cool creature. I like trying to use sort of minimal parts like that, get interesting plays on texture. This one seems to be very popular as well. I really like the idea that I had behind this one, where you have this floating creature with it being like suspended in the air by these. Sometimes I'll create little stories around my creatures and use interesting mechanics to kind of illustrate that. I also like this little sinewy thing here as well that kind of looks like it is holding the body to the head. One of the more interesting ideas. Okay. There's also the Cooter, kind of a one-eyed buzzard thing. And anytime I use templates or I base things on other creatures, I always like to acknowledge who I got the idea from here, and I should have pointed that out earlier in the video. This one is based on Francis's Cooteroo, which is where the name comes from as well. And a lot of the others will kind of have that also. I'm trying to think of one that I based this one. Yes, this was an idea based on I don't even know how to say that. Riversary by Johnny Boy 21. So I just took his idea, adapted it, and made it my own. And I like to study other creators like that, see how they've used parts, and that's where I've learned a lot of my tricks over the years. But I digress. Let's get back on topic with some of these creatures. Sometimes I'll take real-life creatures like the buzzard and just give them a unique twist. Like here's the spiked buzzard. Interesting little creature. The Zarblock tends to get a lot of good feedback on Steam. I've shared screenshots of that. I really like using this part right here from, I believe that's from the Creepy Cute pack, and then adding the head attached to that rather than the body. That was kind of an interesting idea. So let's go back and look at some of more of the cute side. Some of my cute ones are some of my favorites. This was based off Dreamcatcher by Fenrir 3, but with my own unique twist. I really like using, this is the first time I remember learning about using arms attached to other arms, make interesting shapes. And I really have enjoyed playing with that over time. Interesting story about this one. I took a ceramics class in college, and the first thing they had us do was create what's called a kiln god, this little figurine of clay that watches over everything you fire in the kiln. And I thought that was a really unique idea. This is what I had originally created out of clay with like this little eyeball in the stomach. And I loved it so much that I turned it into an actual spore creature. I love playing with various colors. This was one of the first ones where I really started playing with bright, vibrant colors. And I commented before that I like to sometimes create little stories. This was one of my earliest story creatures that I had created, the Squibblar. Just based on kind of our modern concept of what aliens or extraterrestrials look like. But then I adapted that into the space aspect of the game. Created my little space captain as well as a ship. I don't typically get into vehicle design very much, but whenever I do, I like to make sure that it reflects the creature that it comes from. So this is the Squibblar vessel. You can kind of see the little tentacles coming out the back of it. It's shaped very similar to their head. And that's kind of the mindset that I take whenever I do vehicles. So some of my other favorite ones, let's go back real quick. Other story ones, sometimes I'll take one creature that did well, like the Slumpus did fairly decently back in the day. And again, this original idea came from Orangish is, I'm not talking very well today, Calaris. So I took that idea, kind of created a template out of it, and then I've created these various variations on that. Like this is a water-based one. I've used shark fins, dorsal fins. The Crimson Slumpus is more like magma or volcanic. Same with the Emerald being a little bit more plant-based. Not one of my favorite ones, but the idea is there. And I like playing on this idea of variations. Excuse me. Sometimes I will take real-life creatures and make my own variations. Here's one kind of based on a parrot. I think it's really beautiful colors. I love playing with the color. For a little while, me and my wife started taking two random animals and we would pair them together. This is the Pengraph, being a combination of the giraffe and the penguin. Kind of goofy looking dude. One that I always get a lot of comments on is the Neon Peacock. Again, I love the colors. I think the feathers could be done better now that I have a little bit more knowledge, but I still really like this one. Same with the Psychedelic Frog. If you're a Futurama fan, a lot of people will call this the Hypnotoad. I really like getting feedback on that one. So some others that I really enjoy doing are more alien type creatures. This one's based on, of course, our octopus, but made it a little bit more alien in appearance, like it was a land creature. This is also one of my favorites so far. For as simple as this is, absolutely love the shape and the design of this. Super simplistic. So same here. A little bit more alien, but I love the body shape and using the tail to kind of curve around. So sometimes simplistic is the way to go. Here's one that I have an interesting story on. The pearlescent Audibur possesses 10 sets of vocal cords, allowing it to replicate nearly any sound. It uses this ability to ward off predators by imitating even larger predators. So it looks like I had pulled the idea from somewhere else and then just adapted that into my own creature. So those are some of my older creatures, and I also have some newer ones that I've made since coming back into this game. I want to share some of those with you as well, so you have an idea of what I'll be sharing on this channel. Some of these are my kids. We've done some of the same some of the same exercises my wife and I did back in the day. This is the Axolorn, combination of the axolotl and the unicorn, two creatures that my daughters are very much interested in right now. The Monoctra, a one-eyed hydra creature. My son is very much into Greek mythology right now, and the hydra, so we made this creature. The Doofler, which, looking at it now, I believe I have two creatures named the Doofler, both of them goofy-looking guys like this. And I believe, yes, this one is also the Doofler. So I've started simplifying the body shapes and then playing with very minimal amounts of accessories. I try not to overdo the amount of parts, and we'll talk more about the tips and tricks that I've learned in a future video, but for right now, we'll just we'll share some of these creatures. This is more of an alien bug-like creature. This is one of my favorite, more recent creatures that I've created because of how I've started utilizing some of those parts. We talked about the one that kind of uses air to keep itself levitated earlier. This is the same part here around the neck and the arm. I really like the detail that I've gotten out of that. The Phasard is a fairy lizard, and because my daughter's a little sadistic, wanted a little saw blade on the end of the tail. But regardless, I think this is a very interesting and well-designed creature. I like that one. If you're a Pokemon fan, me and my kids are big Pokemon fans. I used to play a lot back in the day. Here's my interpretation of Grookey. There are also some others in here. I do need to point out these are not original creatures. These are ones that I've gotten off the Sporepedia, and I have studied how they were made by other creators. That's just something I do. So these next three, Metagross, Lairon, and Aggron. I highly recommend studying other creators. Very fun to do. I do have unfinished ones on here. Cyndaquil. Still in what I call the awkward stage, but I will get back to it at some point. A lot of times whenever I actually play the game, I like to create stories based on the various creatures, kind of like the Squiblar we mentioned earlier. So this is one that I started in the cell stage called the Silax, and that has gone on to become this creature. You can see it's still got a lot of that that pinkish hue as well as the blue on the back. Ooh, I need to fix the arm. See, there's this little small rubber banding right here is what I call it. But that's kind of the goofy looking guy that I've got at this point. I really like him. Same here. Oftentimes I will base it on real life creatures. This one kind of looked like a beta fish to me. So I named it the Beta Nox, and that has gone on to become this creature. And I took a lot of the bright, vibrant colors from Beta Fish and added that into this creature. And you can see a lot of the same shape is there as well. So this is how I like to play the game. I like to take a very simple idea and then just expand it and make everything kind of adapt to that idea. Another example is the Sporana. This kind of looked like a banana to me at the very beginning, so I ran with that idea, and it became this creature in the creature stage. See, it's kind of maintained that banana shape. And while, like I said, I'm not really focused on the vehicles, I kind of keep that banana shape in the vehicles as well. Well, this isn't quite as good of an example, but you can see it's got like the kind of the mad eyes and that slight banana shape. And I like to keep that anytime that I'm creating various um, creatures, buildings, whatever the case is. Let's get back to other creatures. More of a little alien. Really like how I layered the parts there again. I don't remember what we were combining with this one, but it's kind of an interesting design. And lately I've started getting in with playing a lot more with very fine details. This is one that I really enjoy because of how much detail I got in his face. There's one part right here, this bony part around his eye, just a lot of really good texture, and this is kind of the direction that I'm starting to take some of my builds in terms of detail. This one we were starting to play more with Graveler and Golem from Pokemon, creating a rock creature, but we saw this kind of this aqua crystal piece, and we thought that was really interesting, so we kept playing with that. This one based on the Egyptian scarab. My son, in addition to Greek mythology, also loves Egyptian mythology, so we wanted to create kind of a scarab-like creature, and we really like that iridescent effect. And then some of these are still in the works. I like the idea that this is going with, but again, it's kind of in that awkward stage. Something doesn't quite sit right with me, so I've put it on hold. Anytime you see UF, that's usually what those mean. The Laganoid. I love rabbits. I had a friend of mine that used to breed rabbits, and it's just always been something that a creature that I really like. So I've started making rabbit variants lately. So yeah, I think that gets a good display of the types of creatures that I make. My focus is on making creatures that I feel like could be realistic within the game, of course. And I try to avoid kind of that awkward stage. I commented several of these were still in that awkward stage. Where's a good example? Yeah, like this guy. See, it doesn't feel like it's the same quality. This is what I try to avoid. I try to take them to a certain standard that I have for myself, and I feel like for the most part I hit that. I really enjoy my builds. If you do too, I would appreciate it if you like the video, subscribe to the channel. I will be walking through real time how I make these creatures and the decisions that I make surrounding parts or paint and texture. I will be sharing tips and tricks on how to make those creatures a little bit better. I'll also talk about how I get a lot of my ideas. Some of them you've heard here, but I also have several more. So if you like that and you want to get better at playing the game Spore, feel free to subscribe, and I will check you guys later.